It is only 14 days left until competition. There is something I haven't told you guys about. I barely haven't told anyone about it. And that is the fact that my family is actually gonna move. The legendary bar, the place where I learned how to do freestyle. The place I took a lot of friends, spent a lot of summers, a lot of hours in that park. Also building it was such a vibe, and now it's unfortunately time to move. I really hope the people that are gonna move in though are gonna be into calisthenics, because they are gonna have the best setup out there, the best in probably the whole of Sweden at the moment. It might be that I actually keep contact with them and might go there for some sessions from time to time during summer, if they choose to still have the park. I don't know. So that's gonna be a bit sad. But the good thing is that one of my buddies is now building a park at home as well. Since I've been doing this sport for a while now, I know what's a good setup. Like, how do you want to have the P-bars? How much room do you want on the sides? What's the height of the bar? I think that's a really important thing, is the height. So the bar we're building now, it's a bit higher up than the bar I have at home. Because back in the days I was of course a bit shorter when I started. So I built it for maybe, I was 179 centimeters maybe, and at that point it was a bit short, and then now it is even shorter when I'm taller. I don't think I'm gonna grow more though, but so this setup is gonna be for literally the taller people as well, since the majority of us are a bit taller that are training. The plan for today is a front lever training. It's gonna be a bit shorter since it's deload. I almost forgot it today when I went to train. It is a bit later, but then I remember, oh, it's just deload, so it's gonna be a bit of a quicker one. Sometimes that's actually good. Deload weeks, they might not only be for workout purposes of you actually recharging, giving the body some time to rest. It's also for just your daily life. Since deload, usually the workouts are a bit shorter. You don't need to spend as much time in the gym as usual. So maybe if I add up, it might be actually 45 minutes shorter than the normal sessions. And if I train 5 times per week, I'm not too good with that math, but it's almost 4 hours that you save in this deload week that you can spend on other things, whatever that may be, which is good. So sometimes deload weeks might just be a good way to catch up with other things. But it is front lever session today, which is nice. My absolute favorite move. I still get asked a lot about resistance bands and why I train so much with bands even if I have my skills. And the answer is always going to be the same, but I like to say it a lot of times because we're always going to be new people on the channel as well. Rehearsal is pretty good as well for the people that have been in for a while, to know why I still train with them. And the reason is because the bands allow me to be in the positions longer than I would without the bands. And that is the key point, I think, with a lot of static skills. It's a lot of people have strength, but they are extremely uncomfortable with certain positions and their bodies aren't used to it. So if I train my shoulders, I become an absolute beast. I also train my core and I have that strength. I will still not be able to do planche unless my body knows how to fucking use those muscles. So therefore I use the resistance band to be in the positions for at least 8 to 12 seconds per set. And that is a good amount of time. That will give me a lot of muscle connection, a lot of time under pressure throughout my workouts, and thereby gaining strength and muscle memory, which is the key points that I want. Then of course I combine it with other just, muscle building things. I can do, for example, for front lever is a bad one. I only do pull-ups. But for planche, for example, I do the straight arm raises, which is, obviously not a planche, but it's strengthening the shoulders, the straight arm strength, and that in combination with my resistance band training, with my nerve system connection, that is giving me the planche, if that makes sense. So I love resistance bands. I will always promote them. They are the things that I've been using for many years and will continue to do so, especially with the skills that I have a bit harder time to perform. If I'm training something new, like let's say I would start training Hephaestus, that might be something I will train more often in the near future after competition. At that point I would use a resistance band and it's extremely easy to measure progress as well. I would stick with one band for a while, then I could reduce the band, that would be the progressive overload. I will work with that same band until I increase my reps, and then when I reach a certain amount of reps, I will then take a even lighter band and increase the reps with that band. So the progressive overload is super smooth. Then to only do also progressions, because it can become really boring after a while. So the bands allow me to be in the position pretty early on, enjoy the workouts, measure progress extremely easy. It's just a good combination. I got the 10 to 30 kg resistance band. It's the same I used in the beginning of this week for the front lever session as well. Pretty perfect for deload, since it's the next band over the one I usually train with, which is a good step in a deload perspective. So I'm gonna keep the reps the same. I will reduce the sets to 2 instead of 3. I think that's gonna be the main difference. Of course, I'm getting more help now with the band, which means that the form should be peak performance, or in theory. Then reality is usually pretty damn different from where I expect. But I'm aiming for good form, since I'm getting that extra help. Front pull up to top hold, mark it, 1-2 seconds. Drop down, front lever pull up, mark it, and 5 reps. I feel a bit unexplosive today in the muscles. Yesterday was a damn good freestyle session though. We were 2 more people than we were last session. And that improves, it's a bit more of a vibe, the more people you are. So it was a really good one. I landed a lot of things. And since I got some adrenaline and stuff from that as well, I did push the statics a bit. Even if it's deload, I really can't handle that. That feeling when you land everything, you feel strong, it's like, fuck, I really want to do stuff. So I did. And of course I'm a bit more tired now since yesterday was a good session. I used a lot of power for that one. But let's try to make this the best as possible. 1 more set. Okay, got some blood flow now in the first set, so that's good. But it's only 2 sets per exercise, which is pretty short. It's gonna be pretty fast paced today. Let's try to be a bit more explosive. I think that helps a lot. And in competition, of course it shows more power if you can do things slow, but I will most likely try to do things pretty explosive to spend less time in that movement and then more focused, or use the strength for the, let's say, holds or freestyle moves or whatever it is. But when I'm doing the dynamics ones, I'm gonna try to keep them pretty fast paced, because I will still get still planche push-ups points if I do a planche push-up fast or slow. Of course, if I do it super slow, that's gonna be valued pretty high. But me doing it pretty slow and just boom, 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 not gonna be a huge difference, or it wouldn't be that much of a difference in points. But for me personally, it requires way less energy if I do it fast. That's something I try to think about. Then of course, after a few combos and you're in the end of your time or end of your performance, usually pretty fucked. So nothing is explosive. It's like just pure willpower. But in theory, I try to be explosive. Well, I can definitely feel that I don't have 200% power, or 100% even. But it is what it is. It is a deload, so it's a good thing. My body definitely needs some rest in general, and we have some days where we're just a bit more off than usual. Might be one of them. One on front lever, and we're starting off with my good arm. Always nice to get some self-confidence before you lower your self-confidence and do the things that you're bad at. Or let's say worse. It's not bad, but it's not as good as I would want it to be. The one arm on my left arm. Decent hold, 2 solid pull-ups after. See how the left arm performs. Good thing is that the band is pretty thick though, so it shouldn't be too much of a struggle, but I gotta focus a lot. Sometimes it doesn't look like I'm focusing that much on form, but I think a lot about like, all right, is my shoulder in the right position, especially when I'm doing things that I'm a bit weaker in. When I do normal front lever, I don't need to think that much, but when I'm doing one arm or one arm handstand or Maltese as well, shoulder connection, I think almost more than I put more effort into thinking about how I'm doing it than actually just raw power. With that being said, let's think a lot. Not too bad. I guess my thinking strategy worked after all. Next up, we got some Victorian training. And you know the drill. First one is from handstand down to Victorian, then followed by 2 reps of just being in a dip position and then falling into the Victorian. And obviously, this is without band. Could probably be done with band somehow, not necessarily from the handstand. If I'm doing it without band, it's good for me as well. That also means that the first rep is usually the best one. Then each rep gets a bit worse and worse because it drains energy like crazy. But I'm gonna do my best to keep the form at least not too bad. Fucking heavy. Ooh. Yeah, that was pretty shit. I even slipped on the first one, which I told you guys was gonna be the best one. Doesn't make sense. Or to some degree it does. Yesterday during freestyle I did do pretty many Victorian holds because it was a really good day. And now I'm paying the price. Because obviously if you're training something, that soreness is gonna come at some point. And today's that day. But fuck it. Let's do one more. And just try not to die, basically. Ah. The last one was so fucking bad. But not as much of slipping as last ones. Still some slipping though. Let's just call it a day when it comes to Victorian and leave it for a better session. Now it's time for some pull-ups, which is a bit more of my favorite one and usually doesn't change too much depending on the day. But I'm not gonna say too much because we never know. I told you guys the wrong thing, it's not pull-ups. It's pretty similar though, it's chin-ups. We did pull-ups last session and I tried to do 1 pull-up and 1 chin-up session per week. That makes sense, so just alternating between those 2. I got myself 40 kg, it's what we usually have, and the reduction or the deload part is gonna be me reducing the sets. So I will do 2 sets instead of 3. That will be the total deload. pretty decent. Still heavy, like I said. There's no reduction in what I'm doing in the sets, just the total amount of sets, which is pretty rough. Let's do one more. Oh. Holy crap. Oof. Near-death experience. Drop the weights, not on the toes, but like 1 centimeter away from them. For this final one, let's get a legendary back shot. I think it's been 2 sessions maybe since I did it. It's definitely time for some back shots. In chin-ups, of course. Then we're gonna do some flexing after this. Oh, that's a good way to end it. Let's wrap it up. I'm thinking let's just do a few back flexes since it was a pull session. Might get some popping veins or pump in the back, even though it's deload. Not too intense. Let's hope it's something. Maybe something. I was super quiet there for a while, like so focused on the flexing part. And I did get some comments, people telling me I am getting a bit better at flexing, which I really appreciate. Of course, you get better with time and when you train on it. Not necessarily that I want to become a super good flexor, but it's always fun to be able to at least show off your guns a little bit. Let's do some simple ones for the front as well, even though it shouldn't be the main ones. But I am, mentioned this a bit earlier as well, but I am cutting down slightly, a little bit on food, but in general the calorie deficit is from me adding a bit more cardio in my workouts. I have a hard time. I do prefer is just adding a bit more cardio or some sort of training that, you know, will burn calories, and thereby the general, like the total amount of calories will be a deficit compared to what I had before, and thereby dropping some weight before competition. Not too much, 1-2 kilograms maximum, which is not a lot, but it makes a difference, especially competition-wise. Then after comp, most likely I will go back, increase the calories a bit more, because when I'm training, I want to have energy. I also don't want to be too low in fat percentage, high chance of injury. And I want to feel energized, because then it's also more fun to train. And then I will show up, get gains, and progress gonna fly. Today I also filmed some exciting videos for the community. We are getting closer and closer each day, and pretty damn soon it's gonna be a real thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you want to sign up on the waitlist, check the link in the description. And with that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next vlog. Ciao, ciao!